Pearli and the Lost Handbag. It was a warm, sunny Tuesday afternoon in Jubilee Park. The small children had gone home to have a sleep, and the big people had gone back to work after eating their lunch under the shady trees. Pearli the park fairy loved this time of the day when it was peaceful. She flew around with the sun sparkling on her wings, making sure that everything was tidy and in its place, just right. Pearli was on her way back to her shell on the old stone fountain to have some afternoon tea when she noticed a sign stuck to a lamp post. And this is what the sign said. Lost handbag, red leather with white spots. Last seen near the pond. Reward, ring Mrs. Brown. 00440044. Buds and blossoms, said Pearli. I know what's for the handbag. It belongs to that kind old lady who comes to feed the ducks every day. It won't be long before the gates are closed for the night. I'd better look for this lost handbag right now. And she whizzed off as fast as she could go. Well, Pearli searched high and low. She started looking near the pond. She looked up in branches and down under the rocks, behind bushes, in front of the rubbish bins, all around the round tables, and back and front across the playground. But she didn't see a spotty red bag anywhere at all. Pearli decided to call together all the creatures who live in Jubilee Park to ask whether any of them had found the handbag. She tinkled the pears on her magic wand, and one by one they arrived at the bottom of the fountain. Excuse me, everyone, said Pearli. I need your help. Kind Mrs. Brown has lost her handbag in Jubilee Park. Did anyone find a red leather bag with the white spots today? Wacka whack! No, I'm sorry, said Mother Duck, who had her 4 tired ducklings under her wings. I didn't find a bag, but I did find this on the edge of the pond. She pulled a pink plastic rattle from a pocket on her apron. Oh, we know who that rattle belongs to, says Silky the spider. Yes, we do, whispered his sister Silky. Is that dear little baby with the red curly hair in the blue pram? He is a funny thing. Last night, said Brush Possum, his family had a picnic under our tree today. Then Sugar Possum said, his big sister had a fairy cake with pink icing and a glass of lemonade, and the baby ate a whole bowl of mashed apple. The 4 fat frogs agreed. They had seen the baby too. Yesterday he threw that same rattle into the water, said the biggest frog. It fell right on my head, said another. Eek! Look at the bump it gave me. But no one had seen Mrs. Brown's bag. Hurly-burly, exclaimed Pearli. Babies are always losing things. We put the rattle in a lost and found box by the front gate and return it when you can. She thought to herself. these animals to see everything that happens in the park. They would make very good detectives. Pearli asked everyone to get a good night's rest and all meet in the morning to have another look about. That night, as she combed her long silver hair, Pearli could not stop thinking about Mrs. Brown. Oh dear, she will be worried, thought Pearli. I wonder what was in her bag. Probably her purse and her glasses. Perhaps she had to walk all the way some instead of catching the bus. Her poor tired legs. Then Pearli laid her head on her frilly blue pillow and tried to get some rest. But what Pearli did not know was that the red spotty bag was not lost. Those two bad rat bags, Squawk and Mr. Flea, had taken Mrs. Brown's handbag and dragged it through the park to their hiding place underneath a water tank. Squawk crawled inside the bag. Let's have a look what's in here, he said. Her, there's nothing except this hanky. The purse must have fallen out. Well, let's take the bag back then and get the reward, squeaked Mr. Flea. No, no, not yet, growled Squawk. Can't you see? The longer we keep the bag, the bigger the reward will be. We'll both be rich. Squawk laughed. Well, it's your job to do anything now, I suppose, said Mr. Flea. Squawk snarled at him. You can go and look for the purse first thing in the morning. Right now this lovely white hanky makes a very nice pillow. He planted his flea-bitten head on the handkerchief and Mr. Flea joined him. Soon both rats were fast asleep. Next morning after breakfast, all the animals gathered at the fountain ready to their best to find Mrs. Brown back. There was a new sign on the lamppost. Lost handbag, red with white spots. Oh no, very upset, big reward. Ring Mrs. Brown, 0044. Reads and repulse. This is just awful, exclaimed Pearli. Poor Mrs. Brown, we must find that bag. I think that if we all work together, we will have a better chance. Today I want you all to look very hard for any clues, she said. Mother Duck, you and your four babies squatter around the pond and see what you can find. Fox, you have a look under the water. Silky and Sulky, please use your 8 little eyes to see down in the long grass. And Brush and Sugar, your night eyes can search all the dark places. Let's meet back here this afternoon with anything we have seen. The animals were on the job immediately. They scattered in all directions. Pearli zoomed back to her shell and drew a large map of the park on the back of a paper bag. While this was all happening, down under the water tank, Squawk and Mr. Flea were having another argument. I can find the purse of Mr. Flea, but I've just seen another sign. This time it says big reward. We should take the bag back now and get lots of money. No, no, not yet, Squawk shouted at him. If we keep it even longer, we will get lots more money, and then we will be Very, very rich. Are you sure? Said Mr. Flea as he scratches his head. Yes, Scratch. And by the way, would you like to chew on the bag for breakfast? What does it taste like? Asked Mr. Flea. He took a big bite out of a handle. Delicious! Bump! Then the two rodents laughed loudly. That afternoon, Pearli laid her map out on the grass. The animals had gathered around to tell Pearli what they had seen. The four fat frogs were very excited. Look at this, Pearli, the biggest frog said. A pair of eyeglasses with the letter B written on the side. We found them in the mud. We think they're Mrs. Brown's glasses, said another frog. Pearly marked the spot where the glasses were found. We were looking in the long grass and we found a purse, said Silky. It was just there, said Silky, pointing to the place on the map with her 8 legs. Pearly flew to collect the purse. She knew it was Mrs. Brown's because her library card was inside and so was a $5 note. Mrs. Brown would be pleased to get her money back. We saw some tracks by the pond, squawked Mother Duck. There were 8 little footprints and it looks like they were dragging something between them. Mother Duck showed Pearly on the map where she saw the tracks. Then it was the possum's turn to tell Pearly what they had discovered. We heard some shouting from underneath the water tank, said Sugar, and we saw Mr. Flea running under there as fast as he could go, said Brush. Pearly drew a big X on the water tank. Now she knew exactly what had happened. Good work. Thank you, everyone, said Pearly. Someone has found Mrs. Brown's bag and they will not give it back. Ooh, everyone said. It was terrible to think such a thing could happen in Jubilee Park. Hurry, Rolly. Come on, everyone. Off we go. Pearly cried. She raced to water tank with the animal running behind. When she got close, Pearly could hear voices. The two rats were fighting with each other again. I want the reward now, yelled Mr. Flea. I told you. Just one more day and the reward will be even bigger. Scratch. Pearly was very cross when she heard them. She rubbed her wings together and her green eyes flashed. She waved her magic wand. In the bright light she saw the two rats rolling around inside the bag. You bad, bad rats, shouted Pearly. Hand over that bag right now. Yes, of course, Pearly, sneered Mr. Flea. We found it by the pond and we were just looking after it. Lied Scratch. I know what you were up to, you greedy villains, cried Pearly. You were keeping it for the reward. If you had given it back when you first found it, you might have got a reward, but now you won't get nothing. I told him that, said Mr. Flea. It was just a mistake, Pearly, grinned Scratch. For your punishment, continued Pearly, you will take everything in the lost and found box back to its owners. Start running now. Scratch and Mr. Flea tore off as fast as their skinny rat legs could take them. Pearli watched Quack and Mr. Flea pop a pink rattle back into the baby's full pram. The baby's mother was most surprised to find it there. They also returned a plastic cup to a family picnic set in a long lost pen to a man's pocket without being seen at all. Pearli was very pleased. We all worked together to solve the crime, she said. Other animals cheered hooray. Pearli flew with the bag back to her shell. She would use her magic to clean off the mud and rat hair and to repair the chew marks. Soon the handbag looked as good as new. Before long, Pearli saw Mrs. Brown walking slowly up the path, still searching high and low for her bag. Pearli flew down to the pond and left it on the park bench where she would be sure to see it. She hid and watched as Mrs. Brown scooped up her precious bag. The dear old lady cried with happiness to find it safe and sound. That night Pearli hummed a lovely tune as she made herself a supper of fairy bread and daisy fish. She didn't want money for her reward. She knew that the warm feeling she had inside was the best reward of all. Yeah.